truly did think it was the best draft ever, I can tell you this. It was the most watched draft ever. 55 million of you watched Thursday, Friday, and Saturday combined. And for that, we all say thank you. And welcome to NFL Total Access Draft Recap, presented to you by Ram Trucks. My name is Andrew Siciliano. I mentioned Deion Sanders is here. So is Charlie Casserly. And so is Brian Billick. It was a socially distant draft. However, one could argue it felt like the most intimate draft ever. Thought it was pretty amazing.
It's now my honor to announce that the first ever virtual NFL draft is officially open. With the first pick, Joe Burrow.
To jump up to number 1 overall, it's a dream come true.
This kid is incredible, a great pickup for this football team.
The Miami Dolphins select Tua Tagovailoa.
Tremendous talent there, size, athletic ability, and ball skills. Outstanding playmaker.
This guy can run with anybody, the touchdown machine.
The Green Bay Packers select Jordan Love.
The competitiveness of him is what jumped out to me.
That brings us to the conclusion of round 1 of the NFL Draft. Welcome to the second night of the NFL Draft. With the 35th pick, DeAndre Swift.
This is a first-round player. He's got outstanding instincts.
The Indianapolis Colts select Jonathan Taylor.
When he gets the football, it is dangerous.
With the 45th pick, Antoine Winfield.
A strong, competitive football player.
The Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Hurts.
He's a winner. He just finds ways to win.
Please join us tomorrow for the conclusion of the 2020 NFL Draft. Day 3 is now officially open.
The Indianapolis Colts select Jacob Eason, quarterback.
Intelligence, his knowledge has blown teams away.
The Buffalo Bills select Jake Fromm.
I was looking for a comparison for him. I just wrote down Billy Madison at recess because he looked like he was playing with little kids out there.
Tell us, who is Mr. Irrelevant?
The New York Giants select Tay Crowder.
Brings us to the conclusion of the first ever virtual NFL Draft. What a unique and special 3 days. We wanted to make a difference by honoring and supporting those impacted by this pandemic. I'm thrilled to share with you that thanks to your generous contribution, more than $100 million has been raised for COVID-19 relief. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you.
No, thank you. Roger Goodell wore a T-shirt Saturday. I contemplated wearing one today. I got a memo that I couldn't do it. Jordan Love, however, did wear a T-shirt on Thursday night. I don't think anyone was surprised the Packers took a quarterback. It's the fact that they traded up to get a quarterback. They traded up to get Jordan Love, Ian Rappaport, NFL Network insider. Now that all is said and done, the Packers have explained themselves as to why they went and got an understudy instead of, say, a wide receiver in the first round. What's the story there in Green Bay?
They were adamant about getting a quarterback. It's not just like, well, if one fell to them, they were going to. No. The Packers wanted Jordan Love so much so they actually had deals late in the first round to move up with the Seahawks. That obviously ended up not being necessary because they moved up ahead of them and ended up taking Jordan Love. There was really no one else, as far as I can tell, Andrew, who was going to come up for him. The Colts, that were rumored. From my understanding, the Colts never made any calls. This was the Packers just making sure that whatever happened, they got their guy. He's clearly a developmental quarterback. The skills are there. Everybody unanimously loved how he threw the football, loved the athleticism, loved the potential. He's just not really going to be able to play for a year or two. That's why he's so perfect for Green Bay. And the reason the organization in its entirety has confidence in this is because they've seen it before. This is the same thing that happened to Aaron Rodgers. By the way, Rodgers and Love have connected, and according to Matt LaFleur, who told Mike Silver this, they still have incredible confidence in Rodgers that he'll be there long term. This is just about developing the future.
And be a mentor now for Jordan Love. Look at you, Ian Rappaport, talented broadcast professional, getting us to this story. The angle Well, it's the same story again. It's Favre and Rodgers, age nearly similar, Pro Bowls, MVPs, Super Bowls. We have yet to hear from Rodgers, but we have heard from his left tackle, David Bakhtiari.
Let me tell you all something right now. Look out. Aaron is about to be
go crazy.
Hey, Aaron Rodgers give us trouble every year, man. I know what he's about.
On fire.
Look, he's already great just like when he's chilling, but when I've seen him when he gets riled up, which I'm sure whether you want to call it or not, I mean, even if they draft an offensive tackle, I'd be
competition.
Yeah, competition. Ooh.
I don't even feel like that.
I get my hair raised up right now thinking about this.
Deion, your thought here. It's not as if this team was bad last year. They were 13-3. They went to the conference championship game.
When is the right time? It's sort of like your high school teenager coming back and said, Dad, I got somebody pregnant. Hey, man, it ain't no right time for that. Ain't no right time. When is the right time to put a suitable backup behind a star? I've seen it coming up in the league with Joe Montana, Steve Young. We've seen it with Brett Favre in the same situation. Now it's the same organization. The time is now. Aaron Rodgers is still going to be Aaron Rodgers, but the guys like Favre and Joe Montana moving around, now Tom Brady, it opens the door to make you think, hey, you may not finish your career in Green Bay, but that does not negate that you're still great. It may be time to put somebody behind you. And just because it's a quarterback, ain't nothing wrong with that. You do it with every other position.
Yeah, for me, this
Brian Billick, what do you think?
You guys already said it. I mean, he's perfect. Yeah, he's perfect for them because he does have some developmental time still to come. Of all the quarterbacks we've talked in the first round, he is probably the one that still needs the most maturing. Who better behind Aaron Rodgers? But still, as we said, the irony of Rodgers, Favre, same age, 15 years in the league. As we've been hearing for the last 3 days, Aaron Rodgers, you're on the clock. And don't think for a second that he's not aware of that. I'm sure it'll be great relationship. Let's remember how the relationship was between Favre and Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Good pick for the organization, but Aaron's on the clock.
I agree with Coach Billick 100%. It's a great pick for the organization. Why? They were 13-3. 13-3 means you're going to get a late pick anyway because you're going to be good. What if they drop to 11-5? That's still great. You're still going to get a pick 15 or later. How are you going to find a great quarterback, a good quarterback to take over your franchise, a storied franchise, a winning franchise if you're picking that late? I think it's the right move. I love the move. I love the guts that it took to make the move. Now, Aaron Rodgers just has to stand and deliver and not look over his shoulder.
I love the move as well, and I love how we worked Love into that. The kid's name is Love here, but the narrative last offseason was how are Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers going to get together? Now, looking ahead, the narrative, you know it will be all summer, how will Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers work and get along? Thank you, guys. Thank you, Deion. Thank you, Brian Billick. More from both coming up shortly here. There is more quarterback news today. Jameis Winston has found a home, and that's right. That is not a misprint on the bottom of your screen. The Saints are expected to sign Jameis Winston to a one-year contract after 5 years in the NFC South as the former #1 overall pick with the Buccaneers. Ian Rappaport, he is staying in the division, and he is going to back up Drew Brees? Really?
Oh, yeah, it is real, and it is spectacular for Jameis Winston. It's hard to find a better landing spot. First of all, hard to find a better landing spot anywhere for a backup quarterback than behind one of the all-time greats and one of the all-time great offensive coaches and play callers. But just think about it, Andrew. It's late in April. So many of the jobs are filled up. There's very few places you can go. And all Jameis Winston did, and of course this is something that is expected to be finalized, all he did was find a landing spot in New Orleans. It's not a big deal. He turned down lesser offers from other places. This was about learning from the Masters, kickstarting his career, again, similar to Teddy Bridgewater. Meanwhile, the New Orleans Saints also locked up a pretty big part of their quarterback room as well. They signed Taysom Hill to a one-year extension worth about $16 million. So in all, he's under contract for 2 years, $21 million. He gets $16 million fully guaranteed. The whole thing in its entirety can be worth $22 million total. This is similar to what the Colts did with Jacoby Brissett, basically protecting themselves in case something happens with Taysom Hill. He catches fire and they need to franchise him the next year. Either way, this is a loaded quarterback room in New Orleans.
Yeah, and you could add Tommy Stevens as well, who the Saints signed as an undrafted college free agent, kind of an understudy for Taysom Hill in that role as the mobile kind of gadget quarterback. Thank you, Ian Rappaport. Let's look at some of the Jameis Winston numbers, not the contract numbers, but look at the turnover numbers on the bottom here. 30 interceptions, 35 giveaways, last in the league in both categories. I don't know that we're shocked that Jameis Deion could not find a starting job, but I thought he would go to a team where maybe he would get a chance to get on the field or maybe beat somebody out. I don't know where that job was, but I didn't think it was going to be New Orleans.
Well, we're focusing on the bottom two instead of the top two. The top two were phenomenal numbers for any quarterback. I like Jameis Winston. Does he need to learn the mechanics? Does he need to learn how to read defenses? Yes, he does. What place could you go better? I mean, come on, man. You sit up there with Drew Brees every day. I had the pleasure and the luxury to go through there, taking my high school team through New Orleans. Sean Payton allowed us to come on the field and watch them practice. And to see this guy go through his day of work was phenomenal. To see him go through his progressions, the way he attacks the game, even in practice, it's going to give Jameis Winston so much more confidence and understanding how to be a true pro. I think it's a great move. I think it's a move of humility, and I love it 100% for Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking the right player at the right price to the right team. Obviously, Jameis Winston wants to look at this and not wishing ill Drew Brees, but hey, look what happened to Teddy Bridgewater. If called upon, now I'll come in, I'll do the same thing with Sean Payton, dynamic offense wrapped around me, and even if I don't, if Drew Brees hopefully plays the entire season, you know, Drew Brees just signed that contract with NBC. You know, the old adage says if you're thinking about retiring, you're retired. So it may be just a 1 year. And now they have an opportunity for him to step in. So it kind of makes sense all the way around. And yes, Jameis Winston can use the tutelage under Drew Brees and Sean Payton, because if he does get an opportunity and he gets into the lineup, I guarantee you, Sean Payton's not going to leave him in there very long if he continues to turn the ball over. And oh, by the way, we got Taysom Hill we can put in if that happens.
It probably also gives us some insight as to how Payton wants to use Taysom Hill this year. If he was a legitimate backup, you don't need Jameis Winston, but he's going to be on the field probably more than he was last year, which was a lot, as more of a gadget guy and a guy that's catching passes and running the football as well. Thank you, Deion. Thank you, Coach. Coming up on NFL Total Access Draft Recap, we're just getting started. Joe Burrow's number one. How quickly can the Bengals win? He has an exclusive conversation with Ian Rappaport, who with more details on draft weekend, plus more details on the Cowboys draft. Jerry Jones is smiling because he never thought CeeDee Lamb was ever gonna be there. We'll tell you how we thought Dallas did next. Joe Burrow went number one overall. You kind of sort of knew that, but maybe there was an outside chance that he would have to go into the box sent to him by the NFL and get one of the other caps. They sent him all 32. But nope, it's mom and dad. It's Athens, Ohio. It is a Bengals cap, and he has a short drive now to Cincinnati. Here he is with our Ian Rappaport.
Was it exciting, special, anticlimactic? Like, how would you describe actually hearing your name called?
Relieved. You hear all the talk up leading to the draft, and there's nothing you can do on the field to kind of combat anything that's being said about you. So it's nice to have this over with and, ready to get to practice, ready to get to the season and start playing ball again.
So you are wearing the Bengals hat as we speak. Usually the NFL sends teams all the hats. Did they only send you one hat?
No, they sent me all 32 of them, surprisingly. We'll have to figure out what to do with the other 31.
Neighbors, I guess.
I guess so.
One of the kind of interesting things that emerged from this whole process. You know, obviously teams usually have pre-draft meetings. You don't do that now because of the coronavirus. So everyone was on Zoom calls. You have spent, from what I understand, a lot of time on calls with Zach, head coach of the Bengals, with Brian Callahan, the OC. Tell me what that process of getting to know them has been like.
It's been great, and I think the relationship is going to be really good for a long time. You know, I love Coach Callahan, Coach Taylor, and Coach Pitcher. They're great dudes that, you know, I think are going to enhance my abilities and mold me into the offense and take advantage of what I can do on the field.
Did you get a sense for what the offense is going to be like, and do you like it? Does it fit you?
Yeah, it does, and I think the direction that they're headed is going to fit me even more, and they're going to do things that I'm comfortable with, and that's a great sign. And you know, I'm super excited to be working with them.
Have you talked to Andy Dalton yet?
Yeah, he reached out and just welcomed me to the team, and I had met him before all this coronavirus craziness started out in California, and I went up and just introduced myself. So we have met each other twice now, I guess.
So what do you think? I mean, do you have any sense if he's going to be around? Would you like him to be? I guess, what are kind of your feelings for that?
I have no idea what their plans are and what his plans are. You know, I'm just brand new to this whole NFL thing. So whatever the situation is, I'm going to adapt to it and be the best player that I can be.
Did Wayne Gretzky text you? Because I heard that he did.
He did, yeah. And I showed it to my dad. I think he almost fainted. That was like 2 or 3 minutes before the draft officially kicked off.
So we got a box of hats and a text from Wayne Gretzky. Not bad. Also got T. Higgins to throw to with the #1 pick in the second round, 33rd overall. That is the haul for Duke Tobin and Mike Brown. For more on the Bengals, now here's our Aditi Kinkhabwala.
The Bengals got themselves their franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow, and it was certainly endearing to Bengals fans to hear that one of the first things he said to head coach Zach Taylor was, "I'm ready to go." But now, perhaps even more important than the selection of Burrow was the fact that the Bengals showed they are committed to investing around him. With the first pick in the second round, they chose Clemson receiver T. Higgins, and that's with A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, and John Ross already on the roster. But the way Taylor put it was, you want him to have as many weapons as possible. Now, the Bengals have spent $130 million in free agency. There's certainly a lot on Burrow's shoulders. Andy Dalton is still on the roster, but Taylor made no secret of the fact that when you choose someone first overall, the expectation, as Taylor put it, is to contribute and win championships.
The Dolphins' brain trust, led by general manager Chris Greer and head coach Brian Flores, made 11 picks over the course of the 3-day NFL draft. And Greer said the board fell pretty much the way they wanted it to, although there were moments where tables got pounded and maybe some words were said that we can't repeat on national television. However, the big news is, of course, they appear to have gotten their quarterback of the future. Tua Tagovailoa selected 5th overall. The tank for Tua, which was the dream all offseason for Dolphins fans, and even during the course of the season, came true despite the Dolphins winning more games than you thought. Tua said he's very grateful that the fans think that highly of him. He said, however, this is a clean slate. What he did in college doesn't matter. He has to go prove himself to his coaches and his teammates in the National Football League. But Brian Flores said he's a good player, a good person, a good leader. We're very excited with the pick.
Chargers head coach Anthony Lynn says, of course, they drafted Justin Herbert to be their franchise quarterback, but he didn't want to put a timetable on when they expect him to start. When Herbert gathers virtually with his new teammates next month during rookie minicamp, he'll see a different-looking Chargers playbook, one with his development in mind. Lynn telling me because Herbert's played so much out of the shotgun formation in his career, L.A. plans on using the pistol formation a lot more than they previously have. Lynn saying they don't want something foreign to him, like lining up directly under center, to hinder his early growth. When I spoke to Herbert this weekend, he said he appreciates the Chargers making that commitment to him and said at the end of the day, it's all about competition. He told me he's excited to push Tyrod Taylor and to learn from him.
All right, thank you, Omar, and thank you, Mike, and thank you, Aditi, and hello, Charlie Casserly. Those are the three stories from the three quarterbacks taken in the top 10. Which quarterback taken on those 3 days do you think is in the best position to succeed?
Well, hey, the no-brainer is Jordan Love. He's with a playoff team, but let's put him aside. That's too easy of an answer. How about Justin Herbert with the Chargers? 2 years ago, this was a winning team in the playoffs. A lot of things happened to him last year. I think they're a playoff contender coming in now. Now, why is he in a good position? Well, first of all, you don't have to play right away. That's always good. He can learn behind Tyrod Taylor. If he does have to play, hey, these guys got weapons. Keenan Allen, Michael Williams at wide receiver, Hunter Henry at tight end, Eckler at running back. They can score points. Defensively, I think they should be pretty solid. You got Bosa and Ingram rushing the quarterback. Offseason, they had Linval Joseph to stop the run at defensive tackle. Kenneth Murray at inside linebacker is terrific, and they bring over Chris Harris to play corner, who fits well in the system. My point is, this team has a playoff chance this year, and this guy has to play. He's got weapons around him and a defense to keep him in the game and a running game.
To your point, 2 years ago, they won 12 games. They went on the road. They won a playoff game. Then that thing happened in New England, but we don't need to get into that now. Now Justin Herbert takes over for Phillip Rivers. Thank you, Charlie Casserly. Coming up now on NFL Total Access Draft Recap presented. I say it was the most intimate draft of all time. Here's your example. Goodell also did a bunch of the interviews after the players got selected.
Thank you for pronouncing my last name correct. I was going to do the first name. I thought about it. You got to be proud of your little brother, aren't you? That's pretty cool.
100%. It was a moment that we'll never forget. We were anxious for a while, but when his phone started ringing, I was like, just grab it. It's just a happy moment.
Proud of you. Were you surprised?
A little bit, it's exciting. Just when you feel your phone start vibrating, it's like a wave of terror almost comes over you. It's awesome.
The terror and excitement, right?
Yeah.
You got the Skol chant down already? You already know it. You got to go like this, baby. Come on. Give it to me. Is that your first Skol dance? Definitely is. Don't let that smile come off your face. Hey, whoa. It's going to be here for a couple days.
Can't wait to see him in a Colts uniform, and it's just awesome. He grew up as a little kid with Colts jersey, Peyton Manning, slippers, the Santa hat.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, he wore that Colts jersey every day in grade school.
Is that right? See, that's a small world. How about a high five, man? Hey, give me one. You got a hug for me? Come on. Come on. Can you? Come on. Come on. You got it. Virtual hug, baby.
That's usually Deion Sanders' job. You want to critique Deion? What do you think?
He did a great job. I know he thinks now that job is much more difficult than I thought it was. How many questions can you ask those guys? I mean, and they're excited and elated for the moment. He did a great job, though.
Dare I think that job. All right, let's get back to the interview. That was the first interview that Roger was doing there. That was the interview with Tua Tagovailoa, who, after all is said and done, after the injury, after everything, is going to Miami, and now he is going to be teammates with Josh Rosen. They actually played each other in high school back in 2014. Tua with St. Louis in Hawaii, and then here in L.A., Josh Rosen, St. John Bosco. Tua came off the bench. He beat Josh Rosen. I'm not going to say Rosen's a bust, but now he's with his second team. And now he is behind Tua. But bust is going to be on the screen here, Deion. Tua gets to the Dolphins finally, kind of sort of as expected. Is it boom or bust for Tua in Miami?
You can't put bust in besides Tua's name. The Tua that I've seen in Alabama since his onset, stepping on the scene, has been wonderful. He's stood, he's delivered, he's exceeded expectations, he's taken them where they wanted to go and then farther. Yeah, he sustained an injury trying to make a darn play. He's not injury prone. This guy is a flat out winner. He's smart, he's professional, he's articulate, he's going to say the right things, he's going to enhance your organization, he's going to stand up in the press conference and say and speak the truth. He's going to praise the Lord. I love everything about this kid. I think he's going to be a phenomenal success in Miami.
He kind of has that leadership it factor, and you saw that in high school. That video we just showed you there, St. Louis High School back in Honolulu, and you saw that certainly with Alabama as well. Dak Prescott also has that it factor with the Cowboys, and now he has a new wide receiver to throw to as CeeDee Lamb somehow fell to number 17, and Jerry Jones sitting on the boat could not pass that one up. And once Dak gets there and signs that contract, whether it's a 1 year or a full extension, he has Ezekiel Elliott and Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup as well. This Deion, for an offense that was at the top of the league last year, how does CeeDee Lamb make that offense better?
You got to think for 1 second, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones have lost their mind because they're betting against themselves. You're lingering with a financial situation with Dak Prescott, and you give him a poised receiver on top of the league's best offensive producing team. And this team is also top 5 in scoring, top 6 in scoring. Let me tell you something. Dak Prescott is going to be better than he was last year. I know he has some critics and some doubters, but I think he performed tremendously. How could he not? They had the most yards in the NFL in a top 6 scoring team. They're going to be better. You're going to have threats on both sides of the field. You're going to have someone in the slot that can work it and get open. And Dak is going to do what he does. And it's going to open so many more things for Ezekiel Elliott. Now all this offensive line needs to do is stay healthy because you got all the weapons you need on the outside. I just want the defense to stand up and say, hey, we're here. We're going to stop somebody so we can get the ball back into the offensive hands.
Made some defensive picks as well. Neville Gallimore, Robinson at corner, so they did add some pieces there. But when everyone thought they're going edge rusher or corner at 17, CeeDee Lamb is sitting there, and it was too good, I think we all agree, to pass up. Thank you, Deion Sanders. Let's get more on the Cowboys now from our Jane Slater.
Crazy discipline. That's how one of my Cowboys sources described this year's draft. Staying put at 17 and 51, they got what they considered to be one of the best players on the board in wide receiver CeeDee Lamb and corner Trayvon Diggs in the second round that some experts had going as high as the first. They managed to address needs at defensive line, traded up for a center who, interestingly enough, comes from Wisconsin, where recently retired Travis Frederick held from. They even got a late-round quarterback, something Mike McCarthy had wanted. In Green Bay, he develops young guys for draft value. Analysts and fans seemed incredibly pleased, and I'm told that while improving their roster is a 365, 24/7 job, they don't feel like there is a need that they have to address right now.
John Elway's game plan this offseason: become more explosive on offense. He watched Drew Lock play his 5 games at the end of the season, and he saw something, but he also saw Lock needed more talent around him to take advantage of his abilities. So Elway went and got Melvin Gordon in free agency. He got Jerry Jeudy in the first round, who many believe is the best receiver in this draft, and in the second round got KJ Hamler, who's the speedster to break the top off of defenses. And they also asked for Lock's opinion when they brought in his tight end from college before they made the signing. This is his offense, but as Vic Fangio told me, when things start up on Monday, when he can virtually start learning with their offensive coordinator, Pat Shurmur, it's going to be by trial and error. He said it's critical what the two of them can accomplish. He said it's going to be aggressive and they're going to push the limits. Everything falls on Drew Lock to make this offense work. John Elway has given him the keys to a lot of new toys.
The Lions used 9 picks in the draft to address needs across the board, but perhaps none more glaring than cornerback, given the departure of Darius Slay. Now enter in 3rd overall pick Jeff Okudah, cornerback out of Ohio State. Next, it was the 35th pick overall. Dynamic running back DeAndre Swift out of Georgia, added to an offense that hasn't had a 1,000-yard rusher since 2013. I asked General Manager Bob Quinn, given the uncertainty of the offseason and its programs, what's the expectation these guys are starters on day one? Immediately, he said of Okudah, I would hope that he will be the starter on day one. If there's no offseason program, could it take him a couple of weeks? Possibly. But he is a mature, smart kid. He has confidence that even with a 6-week virtual offseason program, he'll know the defense and be capable. As for Swift, Quinn said, we will use multiple backs. No doubt he'll be a big part of the package, but this will be running back by committee. All in all, Quinn wants to get these guys in the building, shake their hands, sign their contracts, and get to the practice field.
Raiders quarterback Derek Carr is paying close attention to this draft. General Manager Mike Mayock says he's received several texts from Carr that simply read, wow. That's one way to describe wide receivers Henry Ruggs and Bryan Edwards and versatile running back Lynn Bowden. The 4th round of the draft brought cornerback Amik Robertson to the Silver and Black. Robertson says he has a point to prove, not just that the Raiders didn't make a mistake, but that they drafted the best DB in this class. Fellow 4th rounder guard John Simpson joins a deep squad of Clemson Tigers heading to Vegas. That includes 3rd round pickup linebacker Tanner Muse. So after 3 days, 7 picks, Mayock says that speed, versatility, and toughness comprise the first ever Las Vegas Raiders draft class.
Those players are heading to Vegas. We obviously did not for the draft, but here's the best part about this draft and the draft-a-thon. It's raising money. Look at that. More than 100 back with me now as we include, gentlemen, not just the draft, but free agency as well. Brian, start with you. Which team, now that the draft is over, has improved the most this offseason?
Well, I think you got to start with Tampa Bay because obviously you begin with the GOAT and then you add Gronk and the thing, they added another offensive lineman in free agency in the draft. Their first pick was the offensive lineman out of Iowa, Wirfs. So, yeah, I mean, right away, Tom Brady, he's got a group around him now, particularly with Gronk, to kind of anchor it out of the tight end position that is going to rival that 2007 group where they, broke all the records, went undefeated. I'm not going to say they're going to go 16-0 necessarily, but they're going to be pretty darn good, like we've not seen for a while. And the balance they're going to bring to it and the aggressive style, obviously, of the organization and Bruce Arians, the, no risk it, no biscuit mentality. It's going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be fun to watch Tom Brady in a division, maybe the best quarterback division in the NFL, with Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, and we'll see how Teddy Bridgewater does as well.
Yeah, from my end, I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins. They had a plan in the offseason. They executed and paid the right price. What did they want to do? They wanted to get better at the quarterback position. Tua Tagovailoa. Hey, you got a franchise quarterback. Running back. They got Breida and Jordan Howard. Didn't have to pay a lot for them. They're better at running back. Offensive line, total rebuild, led by first-round pick Austin Jackson and veteran Eric Flowers. Solid player at the guard. Now they go to defense. What did they want to do? Right off the bat, they go out and get Byron Jones as a corner. Now you got Howard on one corner, Jones at the other. You got 2 lockdown press corners. Then at the defensive front, they had Raquan Davis in the middle, big physical guy. But on the outside, there's the bell. It's my time to get out of here. Anyway, there you got defense. You got Shaq Lawson, Emmanuel Ogbah. You can stop the run. Voinoy can rush, and so can Curtis Weaver. There you go. My time's up. You're hearing the bell.
All right, Charlie, if you want to go grab your phone and hit end on that, I thank you kindly as we see the Dolphins draft picks here on the screen, all the way down to Malcolm Perry in the 7th round, the former Navy midshipman who probably has to switch to a scat back or a slot receiver position. Thank you, Charlie, and thank you, Brian Billick. I could make an argument as well that the Chiefs have improved, and all they did last February is win the Super Bowl. I mean, look what they did over 3 days of the draft. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is my favorite player in the entire draft. Granted, I'm partial to short guys. James Palmer caught up with the running back out of LSU and asked him about Andy Reid comparing him to Brian Westbrook.
Didn't really have to look at anything on him. He was my guy on Madden. So I used to play a Philly, and I used to have Westbrook, just absolutely running the numbers up on Madden. So being able to be compared to him, I mean, to me, for a guy like me, he's a great. He's in the same category for me as far as my skill set. Barry Sanders, Brian Westbrook, Kevin Falk, Marshall Falk. He's in that category for me. So I was absolutely, ecstatic when I heard the comparison. So now it's, I have to go in and show my worth.
Well, we're going from Joe Burrow to Patrick Mahomes. That's a pretty good college quarterback to the best NFL quarterback. We could say the best college quarterback to the best NFL quarterback. What's your take on Pat and kind of that he's going to be the guy running you in this offense, really the biggest name, and some people could say sports right now is your new quarterback?
I mean, it still really didn't set in, but I know it's going to be special. After I was picked, Pat tweeted out the old Shaq little meme.
Yeah.
That's self-explanatory in itself. I know he's completely ready, and I'm completely ready. So, I mean, with all the weapons that we have on the outside and just this offense in a total, add me, I feel like everybody's just going to complement each other, and it's only going to just
get our experts' take on every key pick from draft weekend.
This kid is the best in this year's draft, and I expect him to start day one.
With in-depth analysis and draft grades for every team.
He has all the things that you look for in the National Football League. He's physical. He plays with unbelievable effort. I think he's got tremendous upside at the next level.
Find out which stars are set to shine in their new home.
And he will take it all the way.
Path to the Draft, tomorrow at 8, only on NFL Network.
The NFL season is 17 weeks, 32 teams, 256 games, plus preseason and playoffs. That's over 50,000 plays. Like this one, each generating thousands of data points that can help the NFL understand player health and safety like never before. With Amazon Web Services technology, we'll simulate in-game scenarios millions of times to pinpoint where and how we can advance player safety. And that's building a better game.
On October 18th, 2015, my cousin Corey was killed by a plainclothes police officer. There's just some things that are bigger than football. And I felt like starting the Players Coalition and affecting change in this country was one of those things. We focused on police community relations, education and economic advancement, and criminal justice reform. The best way to inspire change is to be it.
Right before the start of the fourth round on Saturday, Trent Williams finally got his wish. Traded out of Washington and to San Francisco for a 3 and a 5. One of those picks coming next year. And it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Williams now on the same team as Richard Sherman. You guys remember what happened at the end of that wild card game in 2012 when Williams kind of smacked it? Some say it's a punch. It's really an open hand. Smacked to the face after the Seahawks went into Washington, beat the Redskins 24-14. This is going to be interesting, isn't it? But it seems so far so good, at least on the Twitter. Sherm reached out first. Welcome. I'm going to need a rematch. Trent Williams with the crying emojis. Not crying, however, one former Redskin and one guy who grew up right down the street, Michael Robinson.
What's up, guys? I'm Real Mike Rob. I'm here with D'Angelo Hall, former Washington Redskins, former teammate of big old tackle Trent Williams, who is now being traded to the San Francisco 49ers. D. Hall, what's up, man? What are your thoughts?
Oh, man, I love it. I love it for Trent. I love it for the 49ers. Trent's going to bring a different type of mentality to that locker room, man. He is one of the most fiery, athletic, just hard-working players I've ever been around, man. Just knowing how things ended in Washington, it was it was very important for him to go ahead and turn that chapter. And you not only turn that chapter from going from Washington, who's an organization who seems to not be able to get it right and just can't get into the playoffs, to a 49ers team that now we are here saying they might be back in the Super Bowl because they've done the right things at the draft. They're doing the right things in free agency. They pulled this trade off. I mean, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, man, they are some smart dudes, man. I tell you what, I thought they were smart before. I really think they understand the process of winning football games. It's winning up front. O-line, D-line, control that line of scrimmage. And Kyle knows Trent. That's the one caveat. Kyle knows Trent. He understands fully what he's getting. Mike Shanahan, when he drafted Trent, said that this dude has talent to be a Hall of Famer. And everything I've seen since I've been a teammate of his and watching from the stands has shown me that this dude is not slowing down, and he will continue to dominate as an offensive lineman in this football league.
Yeah, D-Hall, you know, when I saw Ron Rivera first go to the Washington Redskins, I thought that would be the connection that would keep Trent Williams in Washington, but obviously it didn't happen. From your knowledge, what held it up? Like, what took so long for Trent to get out of Washington?
Well, you know, that's the one thing that no one really could understand, because Trent made it known that, hey, I want to be out of there last year. I spoke with Trent a little bit, and I think he wouldn't mind me sharing this story. When he went in there to talk to Coach Rivera, Trent was 100% respectful. He told me, you know, the conversation kind of went another way when Coach Rivera said, hey, you know, we want to see you be a pro, and, you know, we want to see how you fit in our culture, and, you know, we want you to prove it. And Trent's like, Coach, Trent didn't say this, but his comments to me were, D-Hall, I'm a 7-time Pro Bowler, man. I've never had any issues with anybody in this locker room. Every coach knows I'm the hardest worker on this team. You know, coach is never going to have to get on to me about anything, and I can 100% vouch for that. And so that kind of let Trent know from right there kind of where he stood with this organization.
Well, the all-pro tackle in Trent Williams and the future Hall of Famer goes from the NFC East all the way across the country to San Francisco to the NFC West. Thanks, D-Hall.